just give it a quick second, guys. Because on my end, I have to mute it. Okay, excellent. Okay, so let me go back to this. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you, and I want you to really pay attention to this what if. This what if moment I'm asking you, and I want you to go with me, take this journey with me. I don't want to be spotlighted first. Let me just look at everybody. You can leave the spotlight, it's okay. But I want you to take a journey with me. This journey is a what if moment. Are you with me? So now I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. And I'm going to pull up what we need to look at today. Okay. Let's share screen. So remember yesterday and the day before, I was telling you, like, what is this year about for you? Like, are you going to pick one of the concepts? And I want you to remind yourself of what you selected. I'm going to read it out again. These are the 2024 terms that we want to use, right? And here it is. Let me read those out for you again in case you forgot. What is this year going to be like? All right. What is this year going to be like for you? And you need to write this down. You need to make sure that this is a thing, right? And so if you still remember it, put it in the chat box. If you still remember it, put it in the chat box. Stepping into clarity, succession strategies, generational blessings, overflow, extravagance, big faith, great answers, big loves, awesomeness, fortunes, more than enough, extraordinary graces, extraordinary connections, travels, contracts, healthy teams, monies, peace, joy, next level, wholeness, wellness. Whatever your word is, put it in the chat box. Put it now. I don't say put it now, put it now, put it now. And then I want us to take a look at this. This is the go on a journey with me. The what if land. In therapy, we have something called the miracle question. The miracle question is this: what if you were in your utopian world, if you were in your perfect world, in a world where everything you wanted is there, what would that world look like? All right, what would that world look like if you were in a world where everything is as you said, everything is as you want it? If you have a traumatized mind, you would not be able to think of this, because you're only living in your traumas, you're only living in your stressors. If you're not able to actually even imagine something different in a perfect world. Even when I ask these questions to clients, they're going to just give you their limitations. They'll say, well, the job I have right now, maybe I'll be a manager in it. They'll still reiterate their lives right now. They're not able to think outside of their own captivity. You're not able to think outside of your own imprisonment, because that's what trauma does. That's what toxic stress does to you. It keeps us in prison. We can't move outside of it. It's like there's a fence. There's a fence around you, and you try to go out, it pushes right back. You try to go into it, pushes right back in. And so some of you might find this challenging, but let's see if we can do it as a group. Maybe the collective will allow you to do it well. So the question is, what if this year is the year of miracles? And this is not necessarily a religious thing. This is not a religious, it's not a religious question. Like, what if this year was the year of miracles? Think about that. And if you have your what do you call it? If you have your sound on, please mute yourself. What if this is your year? This is your year of the Annus Mirabilis. What if this is it? Can you think that? This is the Annus Mirabilis is the year of miracles. This was the year where, you know, when you, it's a Latin word, it's a Latin phrase that translates into a marvelous year, a wonderful year, Annus Mirabilis, a miracle year, a wonderful year, a year of the spectacular. You would think that it's a church that was saying this. No. This is history. Annus Mirabilis is historical. You know, there was a year of 1666. The year 1666 was called the year of Annus Mirabilis, right? Because it was the year that Isaac Newton made all of his discoveries. Is the year of the Great Fire of London. It was a year of spectacular. So let's just stop right there. The year of spectacular, the year of great happenings. Can you bring that into your conscious mind for a minute? So I want everyone to just think about it. A spectacular year, your year of Annus Mirabilis. Let me see if I can write that down for you. Let me share a whiteboard. Okay, let's type here. Can you guys see that? You all see that? Yes, no?
Yes.
No
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I can
That is
see
your year, the year
Mirabilis.
of Annus Mirabilis. That is a year of the spectacular, the year of miracle. And do you know that people are referring to this 2024, this leap year, as the year of Annus Mirabilis? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to be a good thing. For example, the year 1666, there was the Isaac Newton was discovering all kinds of things, all kinds of laws that has helped shape our civilization, right? But it was also the great fires of London where everything burned. You know, so it's a year of the spectacular. Spectacular things are going to happen, right? I had a dream one time, and I dream a lot. But I had a dream one time that I was in front of this ocean, this great ocean, right? I don't even know how I got there, but there was a huge whale. This huge whale came and splattered into the ocean, and all of the little fish and all of the little things were what do you call it? Got out of the ocean. Right. And so we were there. I had a help team come in to help to kind of keep all the make sure that the animals don't die, the fish don't die, because the big thing, the spectacular thing has destroyed the system, the ecosystem of the ocean. Now you were like, why are you dreaming about fish and this? You know, dreams usually are symbolic. It meant that something big was going to happen, right? And we have to be ready for it. So it's the same thing this year of the Mirabilis. This Annus Mirabilis, big things are going to happen. Like, what big things do you want to happen in your life, though? What's big? What is a spectacular thing? Get out of your trauma brain and say, what is one big thing that can happen that will change the trajectory of your life? Close your eyes for a minute and get outside of your own space and think for a minute and say, and I'm asking you, what is one huge thing? Don't tell me, just close your eyes. What is one spectacular thing that can happen that can change your life or change your generation? Think about it. What is one thing that could happen, spectacular thing that can happen to change the trajectory of life? Write it down once you have it. Write it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down. And make sure, please, and when I say spectacular, when I say marvelous, when I say miracle, don't limit it. If you find that yours is limited, you need to do this again. Do it again. Do it again until you get to the spectacular. But it's one huge thing. Now, some of you are going to struggle with this, and because you're in your toxic brain or your reptilian brain. All right, so let's pull up that PowerPoint again. Are y'all still with me? Say yes, yes.
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 I'm on my own, huh?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Excellent, excellent. All right, let's move on. So I'm going to touch on this traumas and adverse experiences because these are some things. The reason why I talk about traumas and adverse experiences a lot is because it is the gateway. It is how you get into your spectacular. You cannot get into your spectacular if you're carrying weight around you. So think of a young man. All right, this young man was trying to make an appointment. This young man was trying to make an appointment. I knew that this young man needed to make that appointment at 3 p.m. All right, this is another dream that I have. This young man is trying to make an appointment at 3 p.m. But it kept like he was running. He was trying to go towards that appointment, but it wasn't. I knew he wasn't going to make the appointment. It was a struggle for him to get even to make headway. Why is life so hard? Why is life so frustrating? Why are things so the way they are? And then I looked at his ankle, and in his ankle was a chain. And I traced that chain, and I traced it. It was a long chain. And on the end of that chain is the biggest load I had ever seen. All the traumas of this man's life. But the sad thing is he didn't know that he had those, that he was chained to anything. In his mind, he was just like, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to go see an appointment. I need to do this. So some of us have plans, we want to do this. We want to do that. We have plans for our relationships and marriages. We have plans for our professions. We have plans for our careers. We have plans for all of these things. And we're trying to make them. And it's a struggle. There's something that's keeping you. Sometimes you make 5 steps of gain, and then you make 10 steps backwards. And life just seems to be a constant, tug of war. The times when you just need to calm down and decide what is that baggage. And I need to unhook myself from this baggage so I can run this race properly. Right? So we are all going to experience traumas in our lives. If you live in this world, trauma is suffering. Another word is suffering, is hurts, is toxic stress, it is extreme poverty, it's all kinds of things. It's neglect, it's type 1 and type 2 traumas. There's so many types of trauma. Some of you will say things like, well, I had a horrible childhood, but I'm good now. You're not good if you have not processed them, because those things have a way of influencing your life. Does this make sense? It has a way of encroaching in your spaces. We cannot just keep moving on as if everything is okay. We have to lay down the weapons of war. Does this make sense? So traumas will and can have profound and lasting effects on various aspects of our lives. It's going to have an effect on various aspects. I'm going to identify some before I move on into what can we do. Yeah? Are you all there? Yes, yes?
Yes, yes.
All right, let's move on.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, so I'm going to look at some. And look, some of these things are, I'm going to touch upon them, and then we'll see if you have any questions and any thoughts about this. So, you know, there's adverse experiences, the traumatic experiences, all of these things that happen to us. It is not what happened to us, it's how we react to what happened to us. That's been traumatized. So we're all going to experience traumas, but we're not all going to be traumatized with the same traumas. That's why you can have 5 children grew up in the same home and experience the home differently. So the emotional and psychological impacts that we don't talk about, emotional and psychological impacts that we do not talk about. Look, people, if you're driving on the freeway, or on the road, and you get into a little bump, you know, a little pothole, you're not going to stop, right? You're not going to stop in a little pothole. You're going to be like, oh, wait, I can just keep moving on because it was a little pothole, right? But if you keep hitting that pothole every day, what's going to happen to your car? It's going to mess up. You're going to have consequences of that little pothole that you keep going over every day. It's going to have an impact. Your car is going to feel it. All right. So there are some traumas and some experiences in our lives that might not look like they've been big and huge, but if you consistently experience it for the first 18 years of your life, for example, or the next 20 years of your life, for example, you will find that it's going to impact you. It's going to impact because it's going to impact the way you show up in your world. Now, and so we never address these things. And then there's some big traumas. There's some big potholes that once you get into those potholes, you can't even drive, you can't move on. When you get into those potholes, you need to get out of your car, assess the damage, call AAA or whoever is going to come help you pick it up and take it into the shop. Some of you have experienced great traumas, great ones that have really messed up things for you, but you want to act as if nothing has happened. You still want to keep living life like everything is okay. It doesn't work that way. Life is going to be frustrating. It's going to be too hard. And you're going to have a feeling as if you are swimming against the current. You understand? And so it is important that we understand this. We need to identify it. It's not, you don't keep moving. Don't keep saying, no, I'm good. I'm good. You're not good. You're not good right now, and it's okay to not be good right now. It's okay to get help right now. You understand? So there are people, you know, listening to me either here or later on who have PTSD. They have PTSD from abusive marriages. They have PTSD from, you know, something that happened to them. They have PTSD that has been since childhood, that they don't know how to control it. You're constantly having flashbacks. You're constantly having nightmares. You have anxiety. Your anxiety level is up to the wazoo. You have uncontrollable thoughts that is just keep sipping into your mind. Your mind is constantly busy. It's always busy with something. You cannot shut it. You can't shut it off. But yet you keep saying, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Or you find yourself just depressed. You know, you just this feeling of, you know, depression is not just when you can't get out of bed. You know, depression is not even finding joy in something, when finding happiness in something. You know, some people are just depressed. You don't even know why you're depressed because you've never identified it, but yet you say, I'm good. I'm good. You know, anxiety, you know, the different, you know, people have panic attacks. Though you just don't have a name for it. You know, that moment when you just, you know, some people experience it in different ways. Some people experience it in their stomach, in their belly areas. You know, some people experience it up here. Some people just experience a tightness, you know, and some people have full blown panic attacks, and yet we say we're good. Some people have mood swings. Your mood is unpredictable. One time you're good, everybody, you know, comes to your house and you get into the house and you're feeling okay and everything is fine. And then next minute, you are irritable. You have angry outbursts. You're yelling at everybody and their mother. You're, you know, everything is escalated. You yell at your children, you yell at your spouse, you yell at your co-workers, you yell and yell and yell. And yet you say you're good. Are you with me? Those mood swings, nobody knows what they're going to step into. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of situation. You know, nobody knows the mommy that's going to show up or the girl that's going to show up or the boy that's going to show up. Nobody knows the dad that they're going to meet today. Very unpredictable. That's not okay. You know, when you have difficulty trusting people, you can't trust anybody. You have difficulty trusting. You have, you know, you just feel you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know that they're going to disappoint you. You know this is not really going to work out. It is hard to form close relationship. Yet you say we're good. No, we're not good. All right. The second thing on that list is cognitive effect. What are some of the cognitive effects that traumas and adverse experiences cause that brings upon us? You know, you might find that one of the reasons you're saying you're good is because you don't even remember a whole bunch of the stuff that has happened. You don't remember it. 80% of your mind, I was telling you yesterday, 80% of your mind is your unconscious mind. It's like a parking lot. Your unconscious mind takes in everything that has happened to you and it puts it there. And a lot of the times you don't even know they're there because you don't have the ability to deal with it yet. You don't have the ability to deal with it yet. And so, yeah, and your unconscious mind is the driver of your life. It's in the driver's seat. And this is the example I usually use for those of you who have heard me speak. You've already heard this. In your unconscious mind, you can say in your conscious mind, I'm going to London. All right? I'm going to London. You buy a ticket. You get on the plane. And then when you arrive, you hear the pilot say, oh, welcome to Johannesburg, South Africa. And you're like, wait. I thought I bought a ticket to London. I thought, how did I get to South Africa? How did that happen? Consciously, you wanted to go to London, but the biggest driver of your life is the template your mind has is London. It's South Africa. That's why people say things like, I want to marry somebody that is this. I want to have a relationship that is this. That someone who is healthy. I want to have a relationship with someone who's not going to abuse me, like my mother abused my dad, or my dad abused my mom. I'm going to and then you marry somebody that you thought, oh, this person is completely different. This person is good, and then 2 years into it, you're completely married to your father. You're completely married to your mother, because that's the template that's in there. Is this making sense? And so those are things. The memory problem is not because there's actually a memory problem, it's because there is issues there. There is stuff in your unconscious mind that you can't access. And when trauma happens, your conscious mind does not participate. Your emotional mind participate. Your reptilian brain participate. And I see let me look at some of your comments so that I see if I can respond to them. All right, so what do we have here? Oh, let's see. Oh, wow, there's a lot of, hold on. Yes. Oh, we live in denial. Okay, so you guys are just talking to each other. The trauma will wear you out. Absolutely. Some of them can even, okay, so you're just talking to each other. We tend to know that it's okay, and that someone, okay. Any question for me? No, and that sometimes no. Okay, all right, good. All right. So this is just a you guys talk going on. All right, keep it up. All right, then here we go. When you find yourself like you can focus on a task, you can sustain your attention. Those are signs. If you find that you're constantly disoriented, you just can, it almost seems as if you're in flux. Life is always in flux, like you're always in some kind of transition, always trying to transition. If you find that you have incomplete stuff all the time, you start something, you never finish it. You start this, you never finish it. You're constantly in flux. That's a sign. Those are signs. There's signs that's telling you need to take care of this. Those that you need to take care of it. Stop running so much. You need to stop. Some people have difficulty making decisions. You would always move the decision to somebody else, so you don't make the decisions. You're always finding somebody to validate something. You just don't want to make the decisions. And then there are also physiological effects of this. There are also physiological effects, like I talked in the first session. The trauma is stored in the body, right? And so your body is being battered. When your body has been battered, the body's going to start talking to you. First of all, you find that you have sleep disturbances. You can't really sleep, or you're sleeping too much. So you've either insomnia, or you're constantly waking up at night, or you can't sleep, or you're sleeping too much. Or you just find that you're just tired. You're just fatigued. And when you're fatigued, it's like this persistent tiredness that doesn't improve. And you're like, what's going on? Why am I constantly so tired? Why am I constantly so tired? You can find yourself getting a lot of migraines, a lot of stomach aches, muscle pains, your shoulders hurting, everything hurting. And there's no medical reason for it. There's no medical for it. And the worst part of a physical effect is hyperarousal. You are in a state of fight or flight. You're in a state of fight or flight. You're just everything you're on a 20. You're on a 20, and you're either fighting or fight or flight, right? You're in a state of defense. You always want to defend something. You always want to explain something. You always want to do this. Life is just not cool. Are you with me? Yeah? Come on. Put yes if you're with me. Because I don't want you to quiet. All right, let me hear you. Let me. Okay, thank you. If you find that you're always avoiding people, places, or things or activities, that's a trauma response. I'm constantly avoiding people, places, or things. I'm avoiding, that's a trauma response. The thing about systems is this: whatever you're avoiding, people, places, or thing, is not necessarily physical. You carry those things with you. You understand? You carry them with you. So the fact that I don't see you physically doesn't mean that I have avoided you. I'm carrying, memories is resurrection. The reason the brain doesn't know the difference between something that is real or something that is imagined. So every time I think about it, anytime I'm avoiding something, You're literally entrenching that thing into your memory, into your neural pathways. Avoidance is a trauma response. Are you with me? So what I need to do is learn how to be okay, even in the presence of all of that. Are you with me? That is the work. People will move countries. People will change jobs. People will do all of those things just so they're not in that same place, so that they're not this and all of that. But the trauma goes with you. It goes with you. So you need to do the work. You need to be able to calm down and do the work. Is somebody with me today? So substance abuse, if you find that, and substance, some people will hear substance abuse and they're like, oh, not me. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a this. But look, you can find yourself when you start using whatever it is, prescription drugs. You know you shouldn't be overdosing on that Tylenol PM. You shouldn't be doing, you're medicating yourself so that you don't feel. Medicating yourself so that you don't feel. That is the issue. Are you with me? Engaging in self-harming behaviors. There's some self-harm behaviors that look very good. If you find yourself fasting every day, if you find yourself, starving yourself, and it looks like, oh, I'm going on a fast, and you're always on a fast, that could be a self-harm, and nobody's looking at it. I've had clients who were, stopped eating. People, not just clients, people who stopped eating in church. They stopped eating. And people now said to them, this person is losing weight in front of you, or your children, your girls or your boys, and they're losing all this weight. And then the church goes to this particular woman I'm talking about, and they go, oh my God, you look so good. She lost 45 pounds in 2 months. And people are like, oh, you look so good. You look so good. She wasn't trying to lose weight. She was in the deepest form of depression, and nobody noticed. I have young clients, who their parents will say, oh, you look good. You look good. And they are in the throes of trauma. They stopped eating because they've been raped. They were raped at a event that they went to, a party that they went to. They've been given all kinds of diseases, and the parents don't know, and they keep saying, oh, you look good. You have to watch these things. Sometimes people stop eating, not because they want to lose weight. They stop eating because they're in pain. And they're overwhelmed. And the opposite is also true. You find people putting on weight and adding weight, and then you body shame them. Why are you so fat? Why are you doing this? Why are you eating so much? Why is this happening to you? Body shaming. They're eating because they're in pain. Is this making sense? They're eating because that is how they are coping. That's their coping mechanism. And I see a hand up. Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, that was an error? Oh, it was an error? You're muted. You're muted. You can't unmute. How is that possible? Okay, okay, now try it.
Okay, thank you, Prof. I mean, what you're saying is, I don't know how to express how sad it is, because I work in the church, and what you are saying is resident in the church among spirit-filled people. I mean, it's resident, as in you deal with somebody who is supposed to be a prayer warrior, but you are seeing, there's no, just what you're saying, but that's where I'm going to is, how is it that people are so traumatized in church and they cannot talk? because if they talk, they will be judged. So you see a lot of people who are praying from tomorrow now, nearly all the churches, some are doing 90 days fasting, 70 days fasting, 30 days fasting, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my point is that these things are done year in, year out. And you meet this same person in the office and you can see that this person is soaked with trauma. There's no change anywhere apart from the fact that the person can pray. And that's it's so painful because I've been trained by Jazz, I can perceive trauma from 1 mile. Even in my own life, I can perceive, like you even had to tell me to stop. You don't do Stella. Trauma is everywhere. But my point is so many people are hurting. But because we judge people so much, people are not able to express themselves, even within the families, even with the PKs, who they call pastors' kids. They're not able to tell their parents what they are going through because the parents are so spiritual that the children cannot even say, see what happened to me. You know, so
absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, look, there's work to be done. It's not just in the church. It's in a lot of minority communities. Here, we actually have, in a Department of Behavioral Health, we actually have committees to address minority communities. A lot of minority communities, what I mean about Black communities, Latino communities, you know, Indian communities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of these cultures have secrets. They don't want anybody to, they don't want you to air your dirty laundry out. So they will, they have closed, what we call closed systems. And so if not, it's not just in the church, but they would have closed systems, and that closed system means whatever stays in this, whatever happens in this house happens in this house. You don't share it. So if somebody is beating you to death, or if somebody is abusing you, or if somebody was doing this, people don't talk, because then what happens in the family can also be extrapolated into the macro systems where those things also happen. But then the reason why you brought up the church or religious places is that what it's supposed to be healing places. It's supposed to be places where you bring the wounded and they're supposed to be healed. Look, here's the first thing I'll say. My friend Abby Loyede would say, look, the church is changing. People are starting to understand things. It's slowly but surely. Okay, slowly but surely. And so that is the work that we have to do, which is why we graduate you all from JARS to go in and start explaining to people the intersection of faith and mental health, that they're not mutually exclusive, you know. And so yes, and then the other good thing is, let's start with what we all know. Prayer, all of those things, they're very good. We need to continue to do that. Maybe if they didn't have church, a lot of people will be crazy. You understand? A lot of people will have lost it. So thank God that people have a place to go where they can actually live lives day to day or week to week. But in 2024, the year of the spectacular, we need a big change. Right, we need a big change, and which is why we're having some of these events that we're having. It is important that we align ourselves and we say, I'm going to be the agent of change. So Stella, you're going to be the agent of change in your church. You're going to, you're going to go where and say, hey, I want to give a workshop on trauma. Let's see what this is about. And that's the response I've been having. You know, when I first started this thing in Africa and in Nigeria, for example, people said it's not going to work. Nobody's going to listen. But that's not been our experience. We've had large groups. We've gone to different states in Nigeria, and we even went to the marketplace and they were receptive. So we've talked to different people. The people are open. And then one 70-year-old woman came to us and said, oh my gosh, my daughter, if I had heard this 40 years ago, my life would have been different. 70-year-old woman, you know. We have been we have been able to make headway. We've gone to different nations in Africa to do this awareness thing, and we've had great responses. Now, I find that the most people who challenge these things are not the people who challenge them are people who have been hurt and they don't want to examine their hurt. So it's not personal. So when you see somebody challenging and saying, oh, no, I'm not, no, that trauma thing doesn't work for me. Oh, the blood of Jesus or whatever. All of those people, look, it has nothing to do with you. It's because there's something there. If it's hysterical, it's historical. There's a history behind it. And so just give them time, they will get to it. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, everybody's still here? Everyone's still here? You didn't mute me or anything, right? You're gonna keep saying yes.
Yeah.
What I would really like is to hear your voices so you can unmute and say yes. Oh, I heard you can unmute. Okay, I see. Bims has made it that we can unmute yourself. All right,
Yes.
excellent.
Stella just finished speaking. They can unmute if they want to. It's just that
No.
somebody just
Stella didn't. Stella finished speaking because I unmute. I requested for her to unmute.
So that's what I'm saying. So since Stella can speak, everybody else can speak. If you need to speak, please unmute and speak to Dr. Marino. Thank you.
So let's hear the yes then. If I can hear it.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So let's go. Let me continue this and then I'll bring it back. I'll title up. And if you find that it impacts areas of life, not just your emotional and psychological life, like I've been saying, right? Do you know that traumas that have not been processed? Do you know that they would impact even your ability to see the correct opportunities? So let's say you're supposed to be going this way. Your trauma is going to take you that way, right? And sometimes you might not be able to see opportunities. Now, there's something called post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth, or we call it a survivor's mission, a survivor's mission. There are traumas in your life that would literally change the trajectory of your life. And that is what I want to happen for everyone who's experienced it, where you process your traumas, process them, but use them to leap into a spectacular world. So like the mother whose son was killed by a drunk driver. All right. Then that's where we got this international organization called MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, right? So she used that pain, she processed the pain, and then used it to build a different world. You understand? I read a book one time that says, don't waste your pain. Don't waste your tears. I have this book, it's called Restore My Soul. It's on Amazon. And I was looking at it yesterday. And one of the things, I'm going to read this out to you. It was like, it's talked about identifying negative predisposition, right? And one of these things that it's talked about, identify 4 things. The first one is when you magnify, are you the kind of person who magnifies all the bad stuff and not the good stuff? Do you see your child and you only magnify all the bad stuff? Yeah. A lot of parents will say things like, when they bring their child to someone like me, they'll say, fix the child. The child needs therapy. Most of the time, the child is just a symptom of what is happening in the home. Right? And a lot of the times, you would say, oh, I want you to go to the best schools. I want my child to go to the best school. If they get a B, you're upset at them. If they don't do the profession you want them to do, you're upset at them. You magnify all the negative stuff. That is your own trauma response. It has nothing to do with the other person. Because the trauma of the past always stays present.
Traumas of the past.
The traumas of the past will stay in the present. So let's say you were that child when you were in primary school, you were the last one to get picked up. You were the last one to get picked up. So you're sitting at the steps of your primary school waiting for your mom or your dad or the driver to show up. Sometimes they even forget about you. You have to call. Then you get married. And your husband or your wife, for some reason, shows up late for lunch or for an appointment, and immediately you are fighting that person. How did you make her late? Why are you da-da-da-da-da? And the husband is thinking, oh, well, I just got stuck in traffic. Sorry, I forgot to call. If you find that there's a lot of energy around something, it is not about the other person. You have to say, what is it that I'm really fighting? What is the issue? Because the traumas of the past stays present. It stays in the present. So what you're fighting is not just your husband or your wife being late that one time. It's all those times they never picked you up on time when you were 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Traumas of the past will stay in the present.
God have mercy.
There's nothing like overreacting. It looks like overreacting because we don't see what you're reacting at. You're reacting at not just what is in front of you, you're reacting at everything else in the past. It might, if you take the trauma class, in the trauma course, there's a film that I show, a documentary that I show about a boy who was physically abused when he was growing up, and his sister was raped and he couldn't do anything, sexually assaulted, and he couldn't do anything because he was a little kid, right? When he got older, he saw a man and a woman fighting, and he thought the man was was violent against the woman. He rushed there and bit the crap out of the boy. He ended up getting arrested. What was he reacting to that day?
The helpless.
He was reacting to the past, not just the present. So if you find that you have a lot of, this and you're this and you're and somebody didn't treat you right and somebody didn't do this and somebody didn't you need to figure out, is it just this person I'm reacting to? You can't kill an ant with a shotgun. You're not killing an ant with a shotgun. We've had people who've been married 2 or 3 times, and that they come to therapy and we find out that they're still reacting to what their dad did to them when they were 14, 15, 16 years old. Are you with me? When somebody called me and said something like, my wife is always cheating. My wife is always cheating. The wife never cheated on him. But anytime you see the wife with a guy, in a car, in a bus, at church, or whatever, it is cheating. That person is overreacting, we think. But what is he reacting to? He has probably been rejected and abandoned as a child. The past always stays in the present if you don't address it. And the people in your present will get the burnt of it. And it's not fair. You think they're the ones you're fighting. You think that they're the enemy, but there's been a past that has not been addressed. So this year, my encouragement to everyone is find your own trauma coach, trauma therapist, and begin to address these things. In fact, one thing you can do is list all your traumas. Just list them. Just list them. And then begin to say, this is how I'm going to address them this year. Is this making sense? And I'm not going to just leave you like that. I'm going to show you something about mindfulness that might help you. Oh, I forgot to say this. Let me say this. We do have group sessions at JARS. We have group sessions. We just finished one group today. Group sessions. If you want to address some of your healings, put your name in the chat box so that we can reach out to you in the groups for group sessions. And if you want one-on-ones, also make sure you address us. And if you want to take our trauma course, let us know that too. All right, so now I'm going to share back to the screen. And let's see. I've talked about all this. How about let's talk about mindfulness? This whole idea of mindfulness, so there are two things. There's mindful and there's mindfulness. So when we're talking about mindful, we're meaning that your mind is always full of something. Like you can't shut off the brain. The past is always encroaching. You're always busy. And look, if you don't deal with your traumas and you try to start a new life, a new dimension, it's going to be a struggle. You need to deal with the traumas. All right, and stop coping. Sometimes people are going to use work to cope. They will spend 80 hours at work. They were going to use, sex to cope. They'll have sex all the time. You still, when you're alone, you're still going to come back to this mind that is full. Mindfulness is the opposite of that. Mindfulness is the opposite of that. Mindfulness is this ability to stay in the present, because the traumas take you to the past and project you into the future. This is what happened in my past, but this is the future I want to live. But you're never here in the present because you're constantly running away. So mindfulness is the ability to stay present and engaged in what is happening right now. What is happening right now? Trauma doesn't allow us to pay attention. Mindfulness allows us to pay attention. It means what is happening in your present. Pay attention to it. If I have you right now where you are to look around your room, wherever you are right now, just look around your room. Just look around and try to notice something different. Something you haven't paid attention to in the past day or two. All right? Try to notice things. That's what mindfulness is that we're paying attention. We pay attention. You stay in the moment. When I'm talking to you, when I'm mindful of you, I won't be thinking in my head with the food I'm going to eat tomorrow. I'm not going to be thinking about you finishing talking so I can respond. Mindfulness is that in the here and now, you have my attention. That's what mindfulness is. Some of us even have successes we haven't enjoyed because we have not been mindful of it. We're on to the next one, to the next one, and to the next one. Mindfulness is paying attention. It's being in the present. Because if you don't pay attention, you miss the moments. And those moments sometimes never come again. So pay attention. Some of you need to pay attention to what's happening in your homes, what's happening into yourself. Pay attention. This is not a judgment, it's just paying attention. Why is that child acting that way? Pay attention. Why am I getting triggered every time I'm near this person? Pay attention. Some of you might need to go home today and move some things around because the environment that you're in this new year is important. But if you don't pay attention, you're going to do the same thing that you did yesterday. Pay attention. Things are constantly changing in the ether. Things are always moving in energy and space. And if you don't pay attention, you miss it. We need to pay attention to what your body is saying. Your body's constantly talking to you. You have to pay attention to that. We have to pay attention to what's going on in your feelings. Stop trying to drown it. I have women especially who tell me things. Doc, I know what you want me to do, but I have experienced so many horrible things in my life. If I go down that rabbit hole, I might not come out. So they don't want to think about it. And they just keep pushing through. You know, you even have this phrase we use in Christianity. We say, you push through, you push through, and you keep pushing through. But you never really push through because it stays with you. Yeah. And so are we going to be ever completely trauma-free and completely this? It's possible. It is possible to live that life. We're always going to experience traumas and adverse situations, but we need to just deal with it. What I'm trying to teach you is don't stay stuck. Don't stay in the zone. You have to decide, I'm going to heal. I'm going to heal, because until you heal, the spectacular might be an adverse one. We don't want it to be that. We want it to be a beautiful spectacular. Does this make sense? So we want to practice mindfulness. I want you to practice it. What is, so people always think mindfulness is just this, you just stay here and that's why I take the time to explain it. Mindfulness literally means paying attention. Be present. Pay attention to the here and the now. Don't get stuck in that past. It's over. Don't get stuck in the future. It's not here. You need to say, what am I doing right now? Right now. Here's some of the benefits. And I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to take off the PowerPoints and then talk about it. All right. Let me say this before I even share this with you. I said mindfulness is about being in the moment. It's about being in this present moment. But what other reasons do you have to practice mindfulness? Mindfulness allows us to be open to new experiences. It allows us to be curious about life. Be curious about some things about yourself. You haven't been curious enough. Be curious about why you do the things that you do. Be curious about the things about yourself. Why are you so judgmental? Why are you so judgmental? Why are you so critical of yourself or of others? So when you're mindful, when you practice mindfulness, it allows you to just not to be judgmental about things, just to be curious about it. I wonder why I'm acting this way. Or somebody else who is maybe belligerent or doing something to you. That's what being trauma-informed means. It means you know that people are suffering. Everybody has their own share of suffering. So if somebody's not acting right, it's not because they're evil. It's because they're coping. Everybody's just trying to cope because they've never been taught this trauma work. So they're just in their own space trying to cope. So be open to just non-judgmental attitudes. Your child is acting that way because they're probably trying to cope with something. Your spouse is acting that way because they also have things they're dealing with. It's not about you all the time. Open to new experiences and trying to change things in a, in a compassionate way. Are you with me? I think I actually have a slide on this. Yeah, it's here. And acceptance. I talked about acceptance before. That's this idea of non-resistance. If you're always trying to resist, you're always trying to resist something, or you always want to get what you deserve, and you want to be able to to be recognized and to be admired and to be this and to be that. That's too much work. It's just too much. Acceptance is acknowledging the here and the now. Acceptance and not judgmental is this whole idea of right and wrong. A lot of things is not that because they're right, especially when it comes to relationships. It's not about right or wrong, because anytime you go into right or wrong and the other person has to be wrong, then you've gone into judgments and people are going to protect themselves. They're going to protect themselves. You have to get into this non-criticism, always wanting to judge other people. But come into the space of acceptance, of non-resistance and saying, these are the cards that I was dealt. And this other person, these are the cards that he or she was dealt with. And they are just trying to play this game of life. Acceptance doesn't mean that you're passive. Acceptance doesn't mean that you are not going to change life. Acceptance means you're no longer in your fight or flight. You're no longer collecting debt. In my book, I have several books out there. In my book, Soul Desire, I have this example of someone who is a debt collector. There's a scripture of a man who owed a king, let's say owed the king $10, and it didn't have the money to pay it back. So the king says, okay, you know what? I forgive your $10. You don't need to pay me back the $10. All right. And this guy goes to the person who owed them $100. He owed the king $10. The king $100. The king forgave him the $100. But there was somebody else who owed him $10 and he went to collect the debt. All right. A lot of us are debt collectors. No matter the goodness that has been done in our lives, we keep collecting debt because traumas will allow you to collect debt. So basically, your current husband is going to pay for all the bad stuff that past husband did. Your current wife is going to pay for what your mother did. You're collecting debt. You're collecting debt. You're like, I don't deserve that. I need to get what I deserve. You need to give me what I deserve. You need to do this. You need to do that. All of those is called debt collecting. You're collecting debt. And what debt collecting does is it ties you to the person that you're collecting the debt, because you have to enter into the debt zone to collect debt. Let me say that again. You have to enter into the debt zone to collect debt. So, which is the opposite of what you want. You want to be free of this person. You want to be free of this, but yet you're collecting debt. So what needs to happen in mindfulness is to let go of all this. And to let go of it. They couldn't pay the debt because if they could pay it, they would have paid it. They can't pay the debt. So we need to just give pardon to people. Yes, they didn't treat you right. Yes, they didn't make they actually traumatized you. They didn't live up to what they said they were going to do. They didn't take care of you. The parent that said they were going to go the extra mile and didn't go the extra mile. The parent that was supposed to support you but didn't support you. The parent that was supposed to teach you life but didn't do it. The husband or the wife that was supposed to be by you did not do it. In mindfulness, we lay those things down. We enter into the space where they no longer, you can't hold them culpable for those things. Because if they could, they would have. And even if they could and they didn't, I don't want to be in that debt zone anymore. So I have to let it go. I have to let it go. Is this making sense, people? I know I'm saying some
A lot of
serious stuff.
sense.
I have to let it go. This is the way I say it, especially when I do women's group. I say you need to, this cup, this is my big teacup, right? This cup, I was the one who put the water in. I was the one who put the tea bags in. I was the one who put the lemons in. I was the one who put the ginger in. I'm the one who did all this, stirred it, put the honey, stirred it, and I'm drinking it. You need to accept everything, because whatever you don't put in your cup is outside of your control. So if you're not going to be happy until your spouse makes you happy, you're not going to be fine until your spouse corrects themselves, until your children do this, until your boss does that, until, no. Put everything in your locus of control, everything, and begin to live with and make decisions from your control space. This is why you have to let them go from in your mind. You got to say, I pardon everybody. You didn't meet my needs. So let's start over. And starting over is not letting everybody fill your cup. You fill your cup with kindness. You fill your cup with acceptance. You fill your cup with joy. You fill it. So this full cup is yours. The overflow. Now, if somebody comes and adds joy to it, if somebody comes and adds happiness to it, if somebody comes and adds whatever to it, it becomes what? Overflow. Overflow. But if they don't add it, if they don't do it, your cup is still full. Some of you are struggling with not just half cups, you're struggling with quarter cups. You need in 2024, fill your own cup. Fill your cup. If somebody doesn't say you did a good job, tell yourself you did a great job. Are you with me? If somebody not kind to you, be kind to you. So in mindfulness, we learn to accept things without criticism and judgments. People find it very difficult to do this. And also begin to practice mindfulness regularly. You need to practice it every time, either in the mornings, in the evenings, just spend time, just like you brush your teeth, spend time, just maybe start with like 5 minutes. And we're going to do a little bit of practice today before we go. Start with like 5 minutes or so and just be still. Breathe in and out. Practice your breath work. Pay attention to your breath. Notice how your mind is wandering, and gently bring your mind back to just breathing. And we're going to practice that in a few moments. In mindfulness, you can also do body scanning. So you'll go focus on each part of your body, and observe the sensation, the pain, the discomfort, the changes that you notice. In mindfulness, you get to observe your thoughts. What kind of thoughts are you having in this present moment? You understand me? Okay, so now if you can just, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes wherever you are. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, and we are going to just take breaths. Just breathe normally right now. Just breathe normally. If your feet are not on the ground, let it touch the ground. Be well planted. You might need to turn off your phones, any kind of distractions. And just notice your breath work, your breathing. If your thought begins to wander, bring it right back and just breathe. And as you breathe, I want you to notice from the head from just your head. Notice if it's at peace. Notice if there's any stress. Your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your face. Just try to relax. Notice your shoulders. Are they heavy? Your neck. If you find it's heavy, just kind of relax. You can touch any place of your part of your body that needs to relax as I'm naming them. If you need to touch, don't be afraid to touch. Continue breathing in and out slowly. In and out gently. Notice your torso, your chest, your back. Try to relax into the chair. And go all the way to your thighs. Your legs. Continue to breathe in and out gently. Your feet. Come to a completely relaxed state. You have no care in the world. Just you in the here and the now. In this state, I want you to find your word for 2024. In this state, you're one, you're calm. So find your word for 2024 and just say it out loud to yourself. And I'm going to push you a little bit further for some of you. Some of you might struggle with it, but some of you will be able to do it. See if you can see your word, whatever that word is. See if you can actually visualize it. You can see it. If you can't see it, see if you can hear it. See if you can feel it. Take a deep breath through your nostrils in. Hold it. Gently exhale like you're blowing into a straw. I'm going to do it 2 more times. Inhale. Hold it. Hold it. You won't die. Now exhale like you're blowing into a straw. Do a third time by yourself. You can open your eyes. How are you all feeling? How many of you did it? All right. Tell me how you felt about it. Come on, unmute, tell me, or you can write it in the chat.
Relaxing.
What did you say, Eric?
I said relaxing. It was quite relaxing.
Relaxing. Who else? Come on. Anyone else?
I was almost sleeping off.
Somebody said HQ needs this. What is HQ? Salome?
No, it's someone I know.
Oh, okay. Vicky says sleepy. It was relaxing. My mind feels clearer. Absolutely. Debbie, why are you laughing? Oh, does that mean you feel laughed? Okay, I know who. Oh, you know who HQ is. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if there are any questions or thoughts. We're wrapping this up. Like I promised you yesterday, I went longer today, an hour 30, almost an hour and a half. Any questions, any thoughts? So before I have 4 minutes to go. How do you also take the time to fix and work on yourself? For instance, if you have people depending on you or people who benefit from your being okay. Who wrote that? Debbie, tell us, what do you mean by that question? Oh, because people who benefit from your being okay. What does that mean?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so good evening. I meant so for instance, what part of what you said was basically tackling whatever it is, because past, it manifests in the present. So my question is, for instance, I'm giving an example. Say your mom or your parents or something, and you have trauma that you need to take time and fix or work on. But then you also have kids who are depending on you, or you have people who need you to be okay, or people who, I don't know if you understand, benefit from you being in a good state of mind, quote unquote, good state of mind. How do you now take time for yourself without it affecting the people who rely on you? I don't know if that.
I get it. I get it. And that's a very good question, especially when you come to families. When you're on a plane, one of the things they tell you is that you have to put on your own oxygen mask first in case of an emergency. Even if you have a 2-week-old baby on that plane, you need to use yours first before you you take care of the child. If it's a family systems, you have to have a conversation with your family. This is what's going on with me right now. I need to take some time to fix this, to take care of me. All right. It doesn't mean sometimes, and this doesn't mean that you leave the family all the time. A lot of time just means you get yourself a therapist. All right. And you're doing the work, but carry your family along so that they know that that's the work you're doing. Because if one person is traumatized in the house, it traumatizes everybody. So it's not just the one person that needs to be fixed. So if a parent is carrying their own trauma, that parent or both parents are going to traumatize. It's going to spill. It's called epigenetics. It spills into that family system. And so it's good for one person to start it and say, I'm getting my healing, but that entire system needs healing. That entire system needs healing. One person is never the problem. The system itself is sick. The system needs healing. Does this make sense? which is why anytime a parent sends me their children to take care of, I always tell them, you also need to get in therapy. This is not a matter of your child. You also need to get into the sessions. All right. And that's how you do that. I hope that answers your question. No matter how much they say they're dependent on that person needs healing. They need to be healed, and the entire system has to hold space for them to do it. And that system itself also needs healing. Because if you heal one person in a system and you put them right back in that system, the system will damage them again. So it's not about faults in this case. Thank you. It's a good question. Anyone else? All right, people, then let's thrive. Unmute yourself because we're going to say things together. Unmute yourself if you're able to. We're going to say some things. We're going to say thrive 20. I am thriving in 2024. Come on.
I am thriving in
2024.
All right, come on. We're going to do it together. 1, 2, go. I am
thriving in 2024.
Woo, woo, woo. Clap for yourselves. Let's go. We will celebrate as if you're already thriving. Come on, let me see the thriving kind of look. Like, let me see the thrivers in the house. Who are the thrivers in the house? Let me see you. Let me see the thriving. The way you say it, the way you look, and all of that should be different. You get a different attitude. Like, this one is all goodbye to the past. I am not going to show up in my traumatized self. I'm going to get my healing, and I am thriving. All right, if that's you, let me hear it again. I'm thriving in 2024.
I'm thriving in 2024.
Let's see you.
Thriving,
yeah.
I'm thriving in 2024.
All right, and if you say yes. Some of you yes are not even passionate. You got to get some energy in your
yes.
It's been fun. I'll see you guys in the summer. We do the next one in the summer. Have a good year. I wish everyone the best year that they can find. And if you need healing, get it. Get your healing.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Welcome. Bye-bye.
I'm a thriver.
Yay, thrivers, all the thrivers in the house. All the thrivers in the house say yeah.
Yeah.